Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1311, written by IC0706, The Locked Deadbolt of Mysteries. I have 3 stories that really stand out to me, and as far as explainability, I can't explain any of them, but one is the winner as far as scaring the crap out of me. They all involve doors. In my teenage years, I lived in a townhome owned by my then stepdad, who freely admitted he thought the place was haunted. He was self-employed as a sound equipment installer and often would come and go during the day, and my mom worked 9 to 5 at a law firm. It was summer break, but I wasn't driving yet. I spent a lot of time outside, and this was before the time everyone had a cell phone, so I'd often take our cordless home phone outside with me. I went outside one day and realized I'd forgotten the phone. When I tried to go back inside to get it, the door was locked. Not the handle, which I may have written off as something I accidentally did on my way out, the deadbolt. The handle freely turned, but the deadbolt was engaged. The deadbolt that requires a key to lock from the outside, which I did not have. I stood there dumbfounded for a few minutes. Nobody else was home, and the only other entrance to the house was a set of sliding doors in the basement that were always locked. What the hell just happened? I kept trying to open it like an idiot for a while, before finally resigning myself to borrowing the neighbor's phone and calling my stepdad. He was in town, and after asking me if I was sure 1,000 times, came by to unlock the door. I'll never forget him saying, "Yep, the deadbolt was completely thrown. I can't explain that." I spent the rest of the day trying to recreate it, slamming the door over and over, trying to get the deadbolt to lock on its own, and it wouldn't happen. Second experience, same townhouse. I was now driving, and often stayed late after school as I was in theater and had practices. This afternoon, I had about 30 minutes between class and practice and drove home to get a snack. When I got there, my mom was at work and my stepdad's van was gone, so I assumed he was gone as well. The door was locked. Now when you walk into this home, right in front of you, to the left is the kitchen, the right is my bedroom, and the middle has a staircase going downstairs. I unlocked the door, came inside, and turned into the kitchen with my back to the staircase. As I was making a sandwich, I heard someone downstairs. I turned back around and the staircase door was open, the stairwell light was on, and someone was clearly downstairs. At the time I thought, wasn't that door closed when I got here? But I also rationalized, because my stepdad's van was a cargo van, and it wasn't uncommon for someone to borrow it to haul things, so I assumed he was home. His van was borrowed, and I went to the top of the stairs. I stood there, looking down the stairs, eating my sandwich, and almost said something. It was almost out of my mouth, but something stopped me. I still don't know why I didn't yell, "Hi Jay," down the stairs. Instead, I turned around and left, and I left the door unlocked because he was home, right? When I got back from practice, my mom was mad at me because Jay said he came home around 5 p.m. to an unlocked house. He had a lot of expensive equipment in the basement. I was always to lock the door. I tried telling her what I'd seen. He was home at 4. She said he most definitely was not, and she never did believe me. The third experience. I lived in a crappy trailer in my early 20s when I was poor with 2 young kids. It had 2 bedrooms, which I'd given to the kids, and I slept on the couch in the living room, which was an indirect line of sight to the front door. I put the kids to bed around 9 p.m., and I always locked the door. Always. I still to this day clearly remember locking both the handle and deadbolt and checking to make sure it was fully locked before taking a shower. Eventually I fell asleep. I woke up suddenly around 3 a.m. on high alert. As my eyes cleared and I started thinking sensibly, I realized I was staring into the street. My front door was wide open. Not like, it's a little open or cracked, or I didn't quite close it all the way and a strong wind came along. It was fully open, like a 90-degree angle here. Plus, I had a glass storm door that was fully closed and latched, blocking any wind we might have had, which we didn't have any anyways. I got up and walked to the door to close it, and that's when I lost my crap. Y'all, the deadbolt was still in the locked position. It was fully turned to lock, sticking out into the living room air for God and everyone to see. Have you ever had those moments where you swear there's ice in your veins? That was it for me. I've never been scared like that in my life. In a closed door, you can't even turn the deadbolt to fully locked without it being lined up on the door jamb properly. I knew I'd locked that door, and yet here it was, staring me in the face. I didn't sleep without the lights on for a week. Case on to file 1311, The Locked Deadbolt Mysteries. Well, it's the last experience that to me resonates the most, because as you say, the deadbolt was still in the locked position, even though the door was open. So somehow, something managed to take the matter from the bolt itself out of phase, so it could phase through the door and it could just be pushed open. And there is no other possibility. Even if someone had the key, as you mentioned, you can't actually lock the deadbolt unless it's in proper place to position inside the door. So even with the key, you couldn't relock it. So something took the actual mass, the metal of the bolt, out of phase. What could do that? Could a spirit take it out of phase? Like bring it into their realm temporarily? Maybe. Creepy file number 124, written by Aaron Jaffe. A thrilling tale of man versus wild. I got home in the evening while living in rural Pennsylvania and had to shoo some cats away from my trash cans. 30 minutes later, I hear rustling in the trash cans. I run out the front door annoyed, turn the corner to the cans, and I'm face to face with an enormous black bear. I yell, "Yeah!" at the top of my lungs, and that bear bolts up a tree in a blink faster than I would have thought possible for something that big. So I'm marveling at the speed, staring at the bear, which I'm now aware is a terrible move. And the bear is staring at me like, you're not as big as I thought. I'm pretty sure I can murder you. He shuffles back down the tree, reaffirms, "Yeah, I can definitely murder you." So I start backing up, while making myself as big as possible, and give him a non-verbal, "You sure about that, bro?" While the bear was pondering that, I scoot back inside, and go get my gun. Then I remember I don't have a gun, so I grab a handful of silverware, head to the second-story deck, and start chucking it at the bear who is back at the trash cans. A fork connects with his head, pointy end. He gives a screw-you swipe with his paw, knocking over both of the trash cans. Then he lumbers off into the woods. The only slightly strange part is a week later, 60 miles away from my house, a Rutgers University student is killed by a black bear. Couldn't help but wondering if it was the same bear, still pissed off about getting hit with that fork. Case notes for the creepy file number 124. A thrilling tale of man versus wild. It is incredible, isn't it, how everything is interconnected. Even when it's not mystical or supernatural or glitchy in any way, it's just you pissed off a bear, and then the bear probably was the same bear, I would guess. Bears can travel quite quickly as you experienced, so miles and miles within a week, yeah. It's very sad for the student that died, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How much our actions have an effect, and the problem is it's unknowable, right? There's no way to test this, to go back in time and see, well, don't throw the fork and see if the student still dies. Is that actually the cause? Maybe. But I think the takeaway from this is always be considerate. Act like your actions do matter, because they do. Even though it's not always seen, your actions make a difference. Good or bad. And now time for the quote of the day. "You can't handle the truth." A Few Good Men. One of the better Tom Cruise movies. And of course, Jack Nicholson delivers the line spectacularly. Of course, in the context of the movie, it's more specific to have this monster, if you will, that is willing to defend good people by being a monster. There's a certain sacrifice in that is commendable, but I think it's the wrong mindset. I don't think we need monsters in the world to defend against other monsters. And good people defending against evil are not monsters, even if violence is sometimes necessary. So we can handle the truth if the truth is moral. Just not always easy to live in a moral world. All we can do for that front is to live by example. Be a good person. And then the truth will be easily handled. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.